Mexico demands Biden give amnesty to 10 million illegal immigrants in exchange for help with border crisis. A record high of 300,000 illegal immigrants were processed by Customs and Border Protection in December. It's criminal. They're criminals. And now Joe Biden's likely going, I'm willing to bet, no matter what happens this year, be it Biden or Trump, Biden rubber stamps some kind of amnesty. 10 million illegal immigrants instantly being granted amnesty will forever change this country, and there is nothing you can do. Understand this. Why is it that the Biden administration has been trafficking illegal immigrants to all of these different cities? What did we see with COVID? We saw the more conservative-minded individuals fleeing to Texas and Florida. Florida turns deep red. Everybody comes out and says, oh, Ron DeSantis, you're the greatest governor. I did a good job. But let's also consider the fact that with all of these people moving into Miami, moving into Florida for refuge, that has stripped away a large portion of the more right-leaning voters and voter base in these places, which will now be replaced by illegal immigrants who are being trafficked into Chicago, into New York, into these liberal places. The first thing that it will do is in this census, in the next census, it will give an imbalance of power to Democrats. It is estimated that California has between 1 and maybe even as high as 7 extra congressional seats and electoral votes based on illegal immigrant population, because the census calculates all people, not all citizens, and congressional seats represent people, not citizens. That's insane. Yep. I think it was Thomas Massie who said he has an amendment to make it so that Congress only represents citizens. With 10 million illegal immigrants coming into this country and being shipped all over, Joe Biden can rubber stamp amnesty, an executive order. It'll be unopposed. There'll be challenges, I'm sure, but for the most part, no, everyone's going to sit back and watch. And what's going to happen is these people will instantly start registering, and you are basically giving Democrats a massive majority in the voting block if amnesty happens. This right here, Mexico demanding it, will be the justification for why Joe Biden does give them amnesty. And he'll say exactly what Ronald Reagan did. We're going to secure the border. We're going to enforce our laws. And the deal we have is to start, we grant amnesty to those already here, and then we lock things down. That's exactly what Ronald Reagan did when he stabbed us all in the back. And I'm sick of these conservatives who are like, Ronald Reagan was the best. Are you kidding? And they argue, yeah, but the amnesty wasn't that many people. Look what it did to California. Mm-hmm. It's not just California. Following this is in the 80s, into the 90s, you end up with the next generation of individuals when they tried passing a Proposition 187 in California that said non-citizens cannot have access to public goods. It led to protests and mass revolt. Why? Because they brought in a large portion of non-citizens, granted them citizenship, and these non-citizens have deeper ties to their families, as they should, and they will always vote on behalf of their families. So instead of getting people to immigrate here, to assimilate and integrate here, they get a bunch of people who broke the law to enter this country, grant them benefits to our public goods, then the right to vote. Surprise, surprise. They voted on behalf of their home countries and their families, which is completely unsurprising. Anyone would do it. With this migrant crisis, if there is not a mass deportation, if Mexico's demands are fulfilled and Biden plays the same game as Reagan, that's it. American values get erased overnight.
No, I agree. And I think 10 million would be like the 8th biggest state. So no, I agree with you 1,000%. I think they are probably going to do some sort of amnesty, and then it just flips all the voting districts. And I didn't realize that California gets 8 extra congressional.
So there's estimates. I think it was, I'm not sure which organization. A few years ago, there was, this is in 2020 when they're doing the new census, California loses a seat. Some estimates said it's 1 or 2 seats, perhaps they get extra. Now, those seats also mean electoral college votes.
Yeah.
However, with this bill that I think it wasn't drafted by Massey, but it was sponsored, the Republicans actually estimate 5 to 7 extra electoral votes for Democrats based on people who are not citizens. This is the mistake made by so many people. We are not a democracy. So I don't know if you guys saw that Zero Hedge debate with the Krasenstein's Destiny.
Destiny and Alex. That was great.
Alex and Destiny are a match made in heaven because the way they just yell over each other. But in this, Alex Jones correctly points out, it doesn't matter if they vote. What matters is this is a republic, in which case, as long as Congress represents non-citizens, their vote is their will is represented at the federal level for the president and for our laws. And the only thing the left were saying was, illegal immigrants don't vote. Illegal immigrants don't vote.
That's right.
Over and over again. That doesn't matter. We're a republic, not a democracy. We vote for a representative. If a representative if a district is created because there's 750,000 non-citizens, those non-citizens get representation in Congress, and then they effectively get their vote.
Yeah. Well, and so, yeah, you're exactly right. They'll say, well, they don't vote. Okay, but their presence does sway elections. Their presence does affect elections. They'll say other things. Well, they don't receive welfare benefits. That's also not true. Well, I mean, you guys are constantly saying that taxes pay for churches because churches not paying taxes, but their parishioners using public services means that they're taking from the system. Okay, well, guess what? Illegals don't pay taxes and they take from the system, and you don't consider that to be theft. And on top of that, they will have one citizen in the family who can take welfare living with 5 or 10 illegals who are receiving the welfare from them. So yes, illegals are receiving
They just approved free healthcare in California for illegal immigrants.
Also true.
But let's pause here. The Democrats argue that they either don't receive benefits or they're paying in. Let me just stop you right there, and we'll go as rudimentary as we can. Have you complained about potholes lately?
Yes.
More people means more wear and tear on your roads. Someone's going to pay for that. The roads are going to have to be fixed more frequently because there's more people in your city. That's it. So if you're wondering why it is your water bill goes up, if you're wondering why it is that the cost of electric is going up, it's because demand is increasing quite a bit. Wear and tear is increasing. There's going to be more road construction. There's going to be more density-related problems.
More students per classroom.
Public transportation.
More students per classroom. That's right. More crowded trains. So if you are I've heard from so many people. Remember when what was it? KFC filled the potholes. Was it KFC? Someone
I think it might have been
chicken
Domino's.
restaurant.
I think it was Domino's. It was like a delivery thing. I got to look into that.
Let me check.
Well, I think there's a guy that has like a TikTok page where he goes and fixes potholes.
KFC.
And he has millions of followers.
Oh, I think
Kentucky Fried Chicken sponsored pothole repairs.
and
so they would,
Domino's did too.
Domino's did.
Yeah.
They'd fill the hole and then they would stamp their logo on the hole and say, "Hey, we fixed this for you." What causes these potholes? What you end up there's a lot of things that can cause potholes, but it's basically a lot of starting and stopping. You start and stop, and then it causes pressure hits, and then
huge trucks,
big trucks driving.
Yeah.
The more people you bring into a city, and they're bringing them in mass, hundreds of thousands per month, you will see more wear and tear, and you're going to pay for that. So when everyone was complaining that we had pothole problems that weren't being fixed, to the point where fast food companies started doing it themselves as advertising, this is caused by higher population density. That's it. And if you're okay with paying the bills and dealing with the stresses of population density, by all means. But this means there's going to be more crime. Food's going to be more expensive. Parking will be non-existent. It's already very crowded in New York. It's crazy. Well, now just keep adding more people and see how that goes.
I mean, also, we know for a fact that they're not willing to pay any of the costs associated with increased migration. They're just okay with people who live in border towns or in states that are being flooded to have to pay those costs. As soon as they get imported into their neighborhoods, they freak out and shoo all of them away. They actually call the National Guard, and we saw that in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
Did you see Eric Adams is suing the bus companies now instead of going after the government? I don't know if you saw that. He's suing the actual coach
that sounds
company.
about right.
Yeah.
But he's acting out of desperation. I mean, he just can't do anything to save New York from immigration except to move illegal immigrants to other counties in New York that didn't want this to happen in the first place. I mean, the reality is that Republicans failed a long time ago by not being more proactive about immigration, and now we're seeing the result of this. And I think part of it is that we have to take it more seriously and not be afraid of the consequences of that. Like the big deterrent for a long time was like, oh, these people need help. Whatever. I can understand a compassionate response to people who are legitimately stressed, but now the whole world knows that you can come to America and say, I am here to claim asylum, and you don't need any credible proof. We'll schedule a hearing way later. There's no evidence of this. I mean, our immigration system makes us weak, and I don't understand why more people wouldn't take that seriously.
They want the country to be weak, and that's why they do take it seriously. They're very serious about ensuring the problem gets worse.
Yeah, which is crazy. I think this is what's so interesting about the possible impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas, which is like, he is derelict in duty, right? There are laws in the book that his office has actively fought against enforcing. There have been times that do you remember the whipping story? This idea that like
it was ridiculous.
And it's
guy was on a horse.
And it was
whipping.
false.
News.
They were carrying whips. They were on a horse. It was they did not whip any migrants, and Alejandro Mayorkas went to Congress and was like, it was crazy, and I denounced this and whatever else. He sold out border agents. He's not even representing the people in his office or who are within his purview to advocate for and respect, who are trying to do the job that they were asked to do. I mean, it's a system that's completely designed to fail, and yet the Democrats are going to push for it for longer. I just don't get it at all.
Did you see in Brazil, I think in 2024, you have to show that you have $2,000 in your bank account to get a visa to go to Brazil?
To get a visa to go to Brazil,
Yes.
you need to show a bank.
a bank statement that
I mean,
$2,000.
it makes sense.
I know. They
Brazil,
should have that here in
Brazil doesn't got to
America.
let anybody in.
I know, but that's real. That's not conspiracy. So, yeah, I mean, obviously we should have some sort of regulations, but I know people that graduated from like SMU and TCU, which are schools in Dallas, that were international students that immediately had to, get the hell out of the country. So it's crazy that we kick out the students, but literally you can be like a convicted, pervert.
You just have to come across the border and say the right things, and then they let you.
And did you see how many migrants are from Haiti? They're like Haitians.
Yeah.
Well,
Most of them are not from Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
The majority
Right.
are not
The
from
other
Mexico.
thing, Mexico is like, we'll help you, but also we are not really stopping anyone from entering our country. Theoretically, with a lot of the stuff, if you're claiming amnesty, you're supposed to stop in the first country. And instead, they're like, yep, keep going to America. Sounds great. Fly to Canada, enter through the northern border.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.